The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining us in FRC Media in this 8th day of October. I'm Keith Tebow, and as we do just about every Wednesday, we spend a few moments with the Mayor of Fall River, Mayor Paul Coogan, who joins us from his office on the 6th floor. Mayor, how are you today?
I'm doing okay, Keith. How about you?
I am doing well, thank you. Big news yesterday. You made the announcement of your appointment of Captain Kelly Furtado as the interim police chief here in Fall River. She will be officially sworn in at a ceremony next week. We'll talk about the historical significance of it. But first of all, why did you select Captain Furtado? What did you see in her?
Well, obviously, I knew Kelly from our time together at Durfee High School when she was an SRO there. I know what her work ethic was like. I know what her personality was like. I know how she handled very, very challenging situations. So I was fortunate enough to have some firsthand experience with that. But when you looked at her resume, you realize that she had done everything from A to Z in that police department for a long time. As she said, she came from a police family, and the tradition continues with her own son on the force now. So she is, married to that police department, and she just wants to do what's best for the residents in the city of Fall River and what's best for the Fall River PD. I think, as I said yesterday, Chief Garvin, offering to step aside after a lot of this controversy swirled, gave the opening for this individual to become the first female chief in the history of the city of Fall River. And I think she has the skills and ability to do a good job for us. I know she's going to hit the ground running, and she's got a lot of things she wants to put forward. So let's see how she does. She's got, as I said yesterday, if when this job officially opens up in May, we'll see how she does, or we'll put out a advertisement for a new chief and move on from there and thank her for her service as an interim. But I do have faith that she's going to be able to initiate some changes and get those guys working with her.
I know there was a strong show of support yesterday. That Fall River room on the 6th floor was pretty crowded with police officers out there in support of her appointment. I know that you spoke with some officers and some of the other captains as part of this process. What are you hearing from them in terms of how they will support Chief Furtado?
Well, one of the people told us afterwards he was not really interested in the position, but the two deputy chiefs both said they're going to work closely with Captain Furtado as part of that leadership team. You have your chief, your deputies, your captains, your lieutenants, the sergeants, right down the line, and she's going to embed all those people into her sphere of leadership down there, so that everyone has a say, everyone's opinion will be respected, and that's what she's doing. And not that Chief Garvin didn't do that. It's just something she's going to stress, from day one, that she wants to do this specifically with her ideas and her mindset as to how that department should function. As she said yesterday, some of the stuff hasn't been changed since 1968, and it's time to get with the times and move things along. And I'm sure she'll take us there. Those guys that I did talk to, they were fine with the decision, and they kind of almost understand it because of her resume and her direct work with the citizens in the city of Fall River.
Yeah. Switching gears now, the Davol School, former Davol Elementary School, which was originally sold to the Flint Neighborhood Association to use as a community center. There was a time frame for the organization to make improvements in the building. The city now is interested in taking that back. It was before the city council last night. They sort of sent it to the finance committee for more study. How do you view, why the city should take that back? And do you know of any plans for how that building could be used?
Well, no, at this time, I don't have plans for it. I do know that it was given back to us by the Flint Neighborhood Association. It was one of those $5,000 school sales at a time when they did not have the value they have now. And the residents of the city got very, very little out of that. $5,000 is not a lot for a building with that much land. The Flint Neighborhood Association made a series of recommendations or announcements or whatever you want to call it that they were going to do with that building, and they didn't fulfill any of it. They did use it for an 800. I think they were making $800 a month as a parking lot, which was in none of the recommendations. They think they had free parking for the residents, but they ended up charging people to park there. I have no idea where that money went. That money could be being used right now to support the Gates of Hope food pantries transfer, but I don't know where the money is. And $8,000 is, $8,000 is 10 months of income from that parking lot. So let's look at that and decide what's going to be the best use of that building going forward. I'm gonna put that out to auction and see what people want to do with it. If they're going to renovate it, obviously we'd like to get some housing in there. We'd like to get maybe a veterans preference. Those are things we would try to work with a developer to do. But right now that building is in pretty difficult shape. Matter of fact, I spoke with Glenn Hathaway. He does not want people in the building. I think we kind of give the food pantry there a little bit of a grace period to run in and out and get their stored food products out of there, but they're not supposed to be in there selling. They have to sell it outside in the parking lot or transporting it out of there. So we have a real kind of a challenging situation there. We'd like someone to take it over. We'd like someone to improve the look of that building. We'd like someone to make sure it's serving the residents of the Flint and not being sitting idly by as a warehouse for food products. That's not what was ever intended for the use of that building. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. Let me ask you, in terms of the Gates of Hope, they were there, as you mentioned, providing food pantry service. Have you been in touch with the leaders there about maybe finding another location for them to provide that service?
Well, they did come in and meet with us when we were first talking about this, and we told them, get a move on, find a spot to go to, let us know if you need our help. We have not heard back from them. So I'm assuming they were doing what they said they were going to do. I looked at their financials. They have a little bit of money, so hopefully they can, rent a spot or move somewhere else. It was funny because the people that we met with that came in that day from the Gates of Hope, the only one I knew was Faith, who's also like a very strong advocate for the Flint Neighborhood Association. The other people weren't even from Fall River, so I really said to them, like, you got to find a spot for this so you can keep it rolling. But I don't know what they did. And now, we're 6, 8, 9 months later, and we're still talking about them moving out, which is, what's going to happen now. Obviously, when we first talked about taking the building back, Flint Neighborhood Association brought in a lawyer. They were going to, obviously fight the city's reverter clause and say that we did what we were supposed to do. But that all just kind of melted away. And then I guess within the last few weeks, the president of the Flint Neighborhood Association, Carlos Caesar, came in and signed the building back. So I'm assuming that when he did that, he had also had some conversations with the Gates of Hope, and maybe he's been working with them too to find a spot.
Yeah. Finally, this week, the city school committee and the Fall River Educators Association had another negotiating session yesterday afternoon. The union has been working for about a month now without a contract. Do you know anything of what may have transpired last night? From what I understand, there was no settlement, but has there been any headway as far as you know?
I think there may have been some headway on a few minor issues. That was kind of the quick, brief update I got, but I'm not 100% certain. The union did visit me yesterday with some petitions. I believe that the fight we're discussing is, are we making the best offer in the state to our teachers, or are we second? It seems like it's come down to that. I know the offer we made them is quite substantial. I mean, everybody, knows how important the teachers are to the functioning of the school system. So we've treated them like that throughout the negotiations. And I think, you know, going forward, we will continue to act like that. We're gonna look at a few other things we may or may not be able to do. I think there was some talk about, having the financial teams get together and work on the numbers to see exactly what we're talking about and how far apart we are. There's only so much we can do, even with the Student Opportunity Act. So we'll continue to negotiate. We'll continue to work with the union, which again, it's funny. I put a lot of money into that union when I was paying my dues, so I know how important they are to making sure the schools function properly and kids are getting the education they need. So it's total respect on my part for them. But at the same time, this is something that we should have been. To me, we talked about it, meeting over the summer. Not coming back and saying it's X number of days without a contract. We had a whole month there where we didn't meet, and I think we had offered them like 13 dates. All those were days that we wouldn't be talking about now. We had already discussed some of the things we're hung up on now. We would have moved it a little sooner ahead, but for whatever reason, the schedules didn't work out, and now we're where we are, and we keep going forward from there. So, do I wish this was done 6 months ago? Absolutely. Do I hope it gets done this month? Absolutely. So that's where we are, and we'll keep working with our teachers to bring them up. I know no matter what, where we are now is so far ahead of most of our local communities in terms of a raise for our teachers that to me, that's like for our staff, it's money in the bank, and whatever else conditions or raises or whatever we do to go forward is just going to be on top of what they already have in their hands. We're not going to, obviously withdraw the offer. At the same time, it's a substantial offer. 755, it's all over the place. 855 for the longer tenured teachers. Those are good raises, and I hope our citizens know that we're working with our teachers. We don't want them the lowest paid in the area. That's crazy. They probably work harder than 90% of the teachers in the area. We have a different student base. We have a different set of families. We have a different set of needs, and our teachers do a tremendous job. So we're not going to shortchange them. We're just going to come to an agreement that fits everybody.
Yeah. All right, Mayor Paul Coogan, as always, thank you for your time. We'll talk again next week. Take care.
Thanks, Keith.
All right, and thank you for joining us here at FRC Media. Have a great rest of your week.